So in our last two lessons, we talked about intercepts, one that we found by looking at a graph and another we found by looking at the table. And this time we're going to find the intercepts on our own and use them to do a graph. So the intercepts, as we discussed, are found at values of 0. The y-intercept is found where x equals 0. And the x-intercept is found where y equals 0. So when we take this equation, and this equation is written in standard form, we are going to first substitute 0 for x and solve for y. That'll tell us the y-intercept. And then we're going to substitute 0 for y and solve for x, and that'll tell us the x-intercept. And once we know both of those, we can use those 2 points to graph this equation. And we know the equation is going to be linear because the equation is written in standard form, and any equation that can be written in standard form is linear. So let's take our equation. It's 2 times x, and we're going to replace the x with 0. So 2x plus 4y equals 16. Now, one of the great things about standard form is that it's wonderful for finding intercepts because you're always going to be multiplying one of your values by 0, which means it's going to completely cancel out. 2 times 0 is 0, leaving us with just 4y equals 16. And now we can use the division property of equality to divide both sides by 4. This was substitution. Let's write that, substitution. The division property of equality, we divide both sides by 4, and we get y equals 4. So that means our y-intercept has an x value of 0 and a y value of 4. That's our y-intercept. So on our graph, we can put a point at 0, 4. There it is, our y-intercept. Let's do the same thing for the x. So we're going to take the same equation and I'm going to actually, let's move this. I've got some room to work. Let's do 2x plus, and then we'll do 4 times y. The y in this case is going to be 0 because we're finding the x-intercept, equals 16. 4 times 0 is 0, so that's going to go away, leaving us with just 2x equals 16. Okay, so that was substitution. And now we're going to use the division property of equality. If you're wondering why I don't abbreviate substitution SUB, it's so I don't get it confused with subtraction or the subtraction property of equality. That's why I write out substitution. Let's go ahead and divide by 2, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. So x is 8, y is 0. That means our x-intercept is going to be 8, 0. So let's go back to our graph, and we'll put 8, 0 on there. And now that we have 2 points, since we know it's linear, we can get away with just connecting these 2 points. If this was not linear, we could not get away with 2 points. Something that's non-linear, you got to have more than 2 points. But since this is linear, we can get away with 2 points. I went all the way to the edge of the graph, so we don't really need the arrows if you go all the way to the edge. But it's not bad to put them on there anyway. Okay, so there we go. We found both of the intercepts by substituting values of 0. And then after we substituted those values of 0, we got the x and y intercepts and used those intercepts to graph the line.